Alright, gods and goddesses in training, welcome back to the channel. It is Uncle Makara. All relations, just fix my air conditioning. That's what you're hearing louder than usual. Okay, and essentially today I want to talk about violence to kindness. Okay, I think it's a very, very important topic because as we move into the new world, there's going to be a different code for violence. Because honestly, have you guys noticed that the most top fighters in the world, they don't want to get into random fights here and there, right? It's only the belligerent, drunk, out of control, unconscious individual that wants to start fights out of the blue. And it's okay to kind of show your braggadocious nature and like your ego and try to prove yourself, but that's not really a good long-term strategy, right? So a long-term strategy would be you really working on your character development for you to actually understand, how do I use this aggressive nature in order to actually emphasize certain points, get things done in certain ways, and so forth. Okay, it's interesting because my path working is more towards a flow state, and it's connected to Vaiwamu's and Ryan's journey, my business partner. His is associated with harmony through conflict, which is Serapis Bay. And I've just been trying to find the link between both of these path workings so that we can put our brains together and really amplify this thing. And shout out to RJ Spina, this book, a very, very powerful book. So I'm going to be speaking from, chapter 6, Violence to Kindness, okay? So in the book, what RJ is basically saying is one of the things is to not take things personally. Emotional pain, anger, judgment often stem from what he calls the ego mind identity, or the EMI, which also sounds like electromagnetic interference. These are like our thoughts, our stories, right? Our emotions, all inside. It's the inside world. So the moment you stop identifying with the roles, you disarm the trigger. If you don't take anything personally, that becomes your new gateway to peace. Okay? Because this is not a personal experience. The word personal is the word that I used to use when I used to rap battle back in the day, where you have to zoom in and hone into someone's insecurities and flaws so much in their own personal lives that you would just tear them apart. You would give them an ego death, essentially, through rap, through lyricism, right? This is not what I'm saying. I'm saying don't take things personally, right? So it's an anti-competitive mindset. It's more of a collaboration mindset. So I think that's a powerful way that we can come down to understand this. The next thing I want you to understand is to practice detachment from thoughts, okay? Thoughts and beliefs are the first internal form of violence. Why? Because a lot of your thoughts, they create separation, they create labeling, they create self-judgment, they create the illusion of others, whereas true kindness arises through stillness, not concepts, not books, not random, television shows you watch, not podcasts you listen to, but stillness. I think this is one of these books that, I don't have to read any other book after, that type of thing. The next thing I want you to understand is how to embody your self-mastery, okay? The only real game is mastering your reactions and your responses. Of course, this requires you to have an ability to stay in the present moment, to have that discipline, to have that awareness, especially during times that are tough and you feel a lot of pressure and there's a lot of conflict between two individuals. Self-mastery is when your higher self overrides your egoic impulse, right? And it does so with clarity, courage, and compassion. So when you stay in awareness instead of judgment, what happens, right? Awareness is non-analytical presence, right? It doesn't label, it doesn't divide or criticize, but when you rest in the pure awareness that I am, underneath that, kindness flows as your natural state. So analysis is downstream from truth. Awareness is the source of truth. Is this making sense, guys? Give me a thumbs up. The true self is presence. It's not identity. By anchoring in the I am before the thought body, you free yourself from reactive programming. So this is the foundation of kindness, living from presence, not persona. You know, the exercise that he gave here for there's different meditation magic tricks, you could say, at least 24 of them, to tap into your higher self. And in one of the exercises, I tried it this morning, where I imagined you visualize yourself as a puppet without a puppet master. So imagine just life moving through you, right? And this practice is used to dissolve egoic control and deepen your surrender to the higher cosmic flow. I am a puppet without a puppeteer. I puppeteer myself, right? So that's a very empowering understanding. It's like that Spanda or that cosmic dance, or Shiva and Shakti making love in the cosmos. That's what we're always sensing, right? That's what's moving us, that's what's guiding us. So you have to embrace challenges like oil and water. Don't resist difficult people or environments. Stay above them like oil floating atop of water. I had a session with Wade yesterday. It was very, very powerful. It was something he told me that one of his mentors told him, which is essentially, so he said in white tantra, the more white or the more light you emanate and you become, the more darkness you can entertain, right? So this actually is a very, very powerful notion, right? Because it tells us that we were never weak, we were just unplugged from the source. So flow is the real fight, right? Because it's a battle of your consciousness. If you meditate that your mind is the periscope, right? It's not the captain. You will sink into the hull of the ship, which is your heart and your spine, and perceive without analyzing. This is also another very interesting analogy you can meditate with. As you practice this, you'll see the world as an extension of yourself, right? As not as something separate from you. Then you can also notice that a lot of cities are like crowded environments. Is anybody else hates crowded environments like myself? Yeah. So crowded environments actually have low frequency astral noise due to collective belief-based EMI. So that means that a huge stadium full of people, they're all having their own thoughts, their own beliefs, and that's emanating across this entire place with lots of people. So imagine so many thoughts at once. It feels so dense. It feels like too much, right? At times. So this is where you've got to really stay rooted in your awareness. Avoid feeding into the energetic chaos with more unconscious emotion, because this is what we do, right? We find that, okay, there's an unconscious moment happening. Let me add more of my unconsciousness to it. So it's like fuel to the fire, right? No, that's not the point. You want to maintain high frequency, even in dense environments. Have the white tantra so that you can go into even like a nightclub or something and be completely fine, untouched, unscathed by any of that energy, because you're in your spiritual power and practice. The journey, of course, isn't to gain these cities of kindness. It's to remember that the self is actually not violent, okay? We have trained in violence. We have years of war and tyranny and subjugation and all this kind of stuff. But eternally, if you take all of this thing, you are eternally whole, you are perfect, and kindness is your essence simply when you drop the noise, okay? You drop the labeling, you drop the noise, you return to the I am, you stop personalizing the play, and you transmit love, not reaction. This is one way that you go from judgment, separation, identification, which is violence, towards kindness, presence, awareness, detachment. I hope this helps you out today to give you a different perspective on how to approach when I really want to just like kick someone, or like, you know, I just want to punch someone in the face. Just notice it's not you. These are your EMI. These are your thoughts that are bringing you away from presence. And clearly those thoughts want you to defeat somebody else so it feels good about itself, right? Its own ego. So this is what you're really doing here. So it's a ego power play thing that you're doing with your own violence. Well, yeah, I could probably kick his ass. Yeah, I could probably take him, you know? The Ryan G does this quite a bit too, but it's valid because he's been training for many, many years, right? So a lot of fighters, after they fight a while, they kind of internalize and they don't want to fight again, because they know that if they really tap in, someone can be in a lot of trouble, right? someone can be in a lot of trouble. So this is why that restraint is so important for you to understand. And that restraint, or that mastery, again, it comes through the awareness of actually understanding the I am, right? Feeling into it and embellishing in that frequency. Try that puppeteer method. Imagine your mind is just a periscope. Understand that you are here for a very specific reason, to give massive value, okay? And we have not given up giving massive value on this channel. So let's get it upward spiral, gang. May we never be the same again. Let's roar like a Rorschach test, okay? Let's get it upward spiral, gang. May we never be the same again. Hit that like and subscribe button. Peace and love, okay? I'll see you at the top. Peace.